Hello everyone, good afternoon all. I hope you all are doing well. So for today's student seminar, I wanted to take on gaming industry. So we've not touched on that area. So I titled this as From Nowhere to Somewhere and Beyond. And we'll be also seeing a case study. So for this presentation, I have divided this into 6 parts like history of the gaming industry and some facts and a case study, advantages and disadvantages of gaming, and some initiatives which I would like to do in the future related to this. Okay, so let's dig into our presentation. So when we see 100 years back, there was nothing called as gaming, like digital gaming in our planet. So it only slowly started after 1940s and 1950s, but even before till 1970s, it was like just mini projects in some colleges, and they were like submitting like small programming games, and it was like that. But after 1970s is when the video game industry started booming. So it can also be called as the birth of the video game industry. So during 1970s and 1980s were the period when there were lots of video arcade gamings and game consoles and controllers which had joystick support, which were developed and released, and there were graphics on computers were introduced. So PC and home computers were also slowly started developing. So what is arcade games like? If you see in the left side picture, we would put coins and we would be able to play some certain games in that screen, right? So that is the beginning of our video gaming industry, and it's called arcade games. So in the right side, you can see it was the very first gaming console, and below that picture, the black color one was the very first kind of a joystick that was introduced, and the picture below it is the one of the first of the home computer games, Space Fighter, I think. So computers were designed in those formats only in earlier days. To understand more about all these history and all those stuff, we need to know about history of gaming, we need to know about history of video games, consoles, electronics and accessories, computers, graphics and its evolution. We also need to know about computers and laptops and mobile phones and internet and online mode of playing and smartphones, mobile platforms, and software and development and programming languages. So we need to know a lot of history related to that to understand completely how this entire thing works. But don't worry, I'm not going to take on all those topics, and it's not going to be too technical. So we're going to skip all these history, but I just mentioned because it's good that we have a good brief about that. Why? Because these kind of things would be preferred mostly by people who are hardcore gamers or who like nostalgia related to these sectors. So there were some question and answers which I had. So I noted it down and I searched for answers. So I'll share that with you. So this is the part two. So some quick facts we are going to see. So how many gamers are there in the world? How many gamers do you think there will be in this world? So let's say our world population now is roughly close to 7.9 billion, maybe. I'm not sure. So let's see how much gamers are there in our world right now. So there are over 2.5 billion gamers in this planet right now. So from 2014 to 2020, it's been a great transition. And in 2020, this gaming industry has generated like more than $159 billion in revenue. That is like money spent by gamers overall the world combined together is that. So in 2023 is expected to cross $200 billion. So which is the money spent by gamers. So I've also given a link for the statistics. So next question is what are the popular gaming companies? So these are some of the popular gaming companies. So Sony, Nintendo, these all were like too early in the gaming industry. So followed by Square Enix, Tencent, Electronic Arts, Activision, Sega, Epic Games, and also Microsoft, Google, and Apple are also now having a division for gaming, and they are focusing on game development and its related hardware. And there are other good companies like Warner Bros. Games, Capcom, Rockstar Games, Gameloft, Ubisoft, and Bethesda, Valve, and not the least Game Freak. So these are some popular gaming companies which we can find in our planet. So what are the most popular gaming development platforms? So there will be some platforms to develop games, right? So we'll see some popular platforms. So Unreal Engine, Unity, Game Maker, Godot, App, GameKit, CryEngine, Amazon, Lumberyard, RPG Maker, and these all are some popular game engines. So I would recommend Unity because I've used Unity myself. So that is a game development software where you can start developing a game from scratch till the end. So that company has even grown so much that it supports a lot of features there. And there are some things like RPG Maker. So for this we don't need to know programming, we don't need to learn programming to make the games. So we can just like drag and drop, and there'll be some functions which can be easily used to create games from scratch till the end. So I've also given a link here, how can we start game development in India. So next thing was like I was wanting to see a small history of from where to now how the gaming industry is. So in this picture we can see, so before 100 years we used to play games with our neighbors like the stones, and then slowly we moved towards some games like checkers and board games. So we can tell pinball, for example. Pinball and all we used to, it was late 1930s it was there, and slowly the transition started moving towards video games, and then PC related games came, and gaming consoles and its related games were developing. And after the mobile got popular, there were mobile games, and there were tablet devices like iPads. So games were exclusively developed for those screens. And post 2013 times, the VR and AR has been the trend, and in 2020 it's still moving towards the future. Now we can see many mobile phones itself having AR camera and feature that supports AR. So there are many AR games also, and features within games that use AR and VR. So that is a whole new different experience that the gaming industry is also moving towards. And I also wanted to share with you some yearly gaming events and conferences. So the Z3 was popular post 2020. Since 2020 COVID came, they've cancelled these events for this year, but the Z3 is a very big event. We saw a lot of popular gaming companies, right? So they all come and make press conferences there. They announce their new games, and they have keynote events which happens 1 week during the start of the year every year. So that's a grand event. So but for this 2020, these two new things have come into picture, like Summer Game Fest and Summer of Gaming by IGN. So I've given the links here. So these are going to be upcoming events where gamers and game companies, they conduct virtual conferences, so we all can see that. And there are also many official YouTube channels of the own gaming company where they post regular updates about the game. So it would be interesting to watch all those keynotes. It would be very nice. So there are some platforms gamers used to like chat, like how we use WhatsApp to chat between ourselves. So some of the platforms which gamers have widely used is YouTube gaming, Twitch, Reddit, and Discord. So these are like more these UIs will be more good, and it has more features related to chat and stuff. So there are also many game news updates which we can see from many websites like PC Gamer, GameSpot, GamesRadar, and IGN. And also we can have a look at the official websites of all the gaming companies. Okay, so now we'll see what all fields are quite dependent on this gaming industry. Since gaming industry has come and it's evolving, so there are some other so gamers are dependent, game developers, game companies, and the working employees in their company, the investors, the bloggers who do website articles, the vloggers who have YouTube channels, so video game reviewers, news and media channels, software developers who develop third party applications also for related to these games, so app development, website development, designers like animators, illustrators, and artists, so market and marketing analysts, and distributors, online and offline partners, engineers, electronic and manufacturing companies, resellers, reselling used products, and there is also black market and online scamming which is going on, which is some dark side of this gaming thing, but let's see that in the case study. And also parents, government, and social activists and researchers are also involved in this gaming. So all these people view gaming in a different perspective, and for some it's been their life, and for some it's been a part of their life. That so these were some Q&A that I wanted to share with you people. So now we'll move on to the case study. So as you all know that I'm a big fan of this Pokemon company, and so I wanted to share with you not only I wanted to also know about how this company started and how it is even thriving in today's market. So we'll move with the case study now, part 3. So Pokemon is currently the top selling video game franchise. So we'll see their journey, like how this started. So this person is Satoshi Tajiri. So this person was born in 1965. So his childhood or hobby was like exploring nature around, and he liked to collect insects. He was a very big favorite person of bugs. So he collected many bugs, insects, and he would store them in one place. He was also nicknamed as Dr. Bug. And his area started developing, so nature also started like going far away from his place, so he just dropped that idea. So that was his childhood. And when he became a teenager, he developed interest towards arcade games, and his parents thought that it was some kind of delinquency, and because he was so much fond of video games, and he used to bunk classes also for playing these games. You might be thinking, this is casual, right? But in that time, it's completely different. Okay, so then slowly when he grew up, he started writing magazines and game articles and reviews under the name of Game Freak. So he was the founder of the Game Freak company, and he was writing magazines from 1981 to 1986 period. And during that time also he was able to sell 10,000 copies of his articles. So that was one of his article which he wrote for a guide to score high points for a game something. So in 1989, a person called Ken Sugimori, he was an illustrator. So he joined this Satoshi, and they both decided, why not we develop our own games. because they've been playing games for quite a while and they felt some kind of boring or repetitive content, so they wanted to make some new games. So this Pokemon thing, it was not it was this concept was designed like in 1990s itself, as named as Capsule Monsters. But this game came like in 1996 only. So let's see, he's in his journey, he's made some risky and decisions which led to the Pokemon even today. So in that time, 1990s to 2000 period, there was this gaming console called Game Boy. So what the feature of this Game Boy was like, if you link it with that cable, you can trade with friends, you could trade items like that, rare items. So that was some one feature of the cable. So he thought that, why don't I take my childhood dream and why don't I develop a game like exploring nature and capturing monsters and playing the game, making some version exclusives so that people can play, they can trade the creatures and they can find rare Pokemon. So like that he was thinking, and they both started to develop the game. So basically he got inspiration from his passion. So he also set an example for many of the gamers, upcoming gamers in the field. So they also started following strategies like observing nature and the real life closely, and how they can implement that towards gaming. So that's a short intro about the founder of Game Freak and also Pokemon. So definitely there's a story behind every creation, and this was his story. And we'll move on to what all the Pokemon company does to stay as an A plus player in the game of gaming market. So Pokemon does a lot of things, like they have main series games, they have manga and comics, they have playing cards called as TCG, they have animes, they have movies and short films, they also have spin-off games, they have mobile games, there is merchandise, and Pokemon careers is also there for people who would like to work there. So we'll see one by one. So currently, the main series games has 8 generations of Pokemon games. So these are all the generations. And what are the highlights of this game is that, so each game has new pocket monsters and new characters. So there are new regions to explore. There will be like 8 batches, and we have to become the champion of the region. We have to stop the evil teams from their missions and all that thing, and at the end we have to complete our Pokédex, that is capturing all the Pokemon. And this version exclusive thing is also a marketing strategy which they have been start following from the beginning of the games. So every generation of games has its own unique features that they have made into the game, which makes that game very special and interesting also. So the basic things are like battling and trading. So left side you can see they are all the gaming consoles. So in the previous slide you would have seen each generation's game, and as the games evolved they also started shifting towards more efficient and good graphically efficient controllers. So this is the short history of their release dates. So Generation 1 was came out in 1996 in Japan and 1998 in North America, and then later to further regions like that. Generation 2 was in 1999, 3 2002, 4 was in 2006, 5 was in 2010. So until Generation 5 they had release dates, like first it was released in Japan, and then after 1 year it would be in North America, and then to the other regions like Europe, Australia, South Korea, Hong Kong, and other more countries were added. But after 2013, since the platforms, everything were growing, so the Generation 6, from Generation 6, it was released on the same date worldwide. So Generation 6 was in 2013, 7 was in 2016, and the current generation is in 2019. So when we look at earlier sales, so in 1997, the game, the first generation games, it sold like 4.6 million copies in Japan only. During that time, it's definitely a high amount. And in 1999, the sequel, the next generation, sold like 23 million copies. So actually, what happened was they thought of dropping this idea after the second generation, but since the sales were going good and people wanted these games, so they started with the other third generations, and still it's going on. So that's the main series games. So they've made a lot of money in that. And here comes the comics and mangas. They've been doing all this from 1997 till now. And the playing card games, so the card would have a pack of 24 cards, and as days passed by, years passed by, they improved, like having collector's editions, special editions in tins, and they had many designer cards, and they also brought this card game to the online platforms. So when it comes to anime, there are currently 23 seasons. 23rd season is running right now, and there are over 1200 episodes we can see in Pokemon series. And they've also made like more than 20 movies, and this year's movie is releasing this year end. So there is something called as spin-off games. So that is for exclusive for the game fans who are having different kind of consoles. So the one which we saw in the main series was the main game and main controllers. So there are also other controllers like N65 and YU, like that. So these all are side games which are not main series. So they also used to make money in these kind of fan-based games. And mobile games. So mobile games, now Pokemon is focusing more towards mobile because it believes that everyone are having mobile and they would have access to mobile platforms. So many apps after 2016 we can see, in that most popular app is Pokemon Go, which they have made. And Pokemon Home is an app where you can integrate all your console and your phone, and you can store your Pokemon in that. They've introduced an app called Pokemon Smile, which basically is for children. If they brush their teeth, seeing that app, it would show some animations like catching Pokemon, and they would get some scores like that. And there are Pokemon Masters, and Pokemon TV has a list of all episodes which are running, and Pokemon Pass, which will have events and gifts. So these all are like mobile platforms. And currently in the press meet, they have introduced a thing called Pokemon Sleep. So that is a small device, so that will be useful to track your sleep, and that will have in-game rewards when you play the game. So they've focused, they also have their priority as health while playing these games. So that was the main motive behind Pokemon Go also. So in Pokemon Go, as you can see, it's available on Android and iOS, and it's definitely one of the top apps, and it's editor's choice. And these are strategy games. So what basically this game we can do is, we can take our phone, explore the world, explore the areas around, and we can catch different Pokemon. We have to walk to hatch, and we can battle other trainers. We can make friends and exchange gifts through online. So we can customize our trainer, and all these features are there. There are features called raid battles, which helps to battle with your community, and they'll have small daily tasks which will give in games rewards. And the new AR feature will have, like, if you open your camera, you can make your buddy come out and you can take snaps with that. So that feature is really cool. So so I like their business strategy. So this business strategy is called as F2P, free to play. So anyone can install this game for free and play for free. But if you want to, like, level up fast, or if you want to have more in-game items, you'll have to pay and you have to get whatever you want. So this model has become very successful in mobile gaming nowadays, because there are many app developers who create free games, but they have in-app purchases. And last year alone, this Pokemon Go has made $900 million from gamers worldwide through these in-app game purchases. So this model is this model is the future of mobile gaming also. And during this COVID time, since this game requires us to go walk outside and catch Pokemon, during this COVID time, it was not encouraged. So what they did was they included new features, like these items would bring just the place around you. If you sit and you use this item, there'll be Pokemon around you, so you can catch them. And there'll be field research tasks which you don't have to go outside, which you need to get, and you can play with your buddy. And they've introduced this remote raid ticket where you have to pay to do the raid battles in virtual modes. And they've also introduced, like, battle league, so you can battle with other trainers online. So this is like a play from home initiative that they have carried during this COVID time. So that is which come to mobile games. And next is merchandise. They also have manufacturing and selling a lot of toys and softwares. They are costly also. The stationaries, there are Pokemon shirts and other accessories which the company promotes, and they manufacture also. There's something called as Pokemon centers, real physical places in top areas like Japan. So there are many Pokemon fans over there, so they would visit there and purchase toys and accessories which they wanted. So there are Pokemon careers. So it usually has a list of jobs, and I also applied once and got rejected, actually, because they asked for 2 years of experience. So they have global presence in so many places, and they have a diverse and quality working force. The employees are minimum only in their company, but their planning and execution is so good that it's able to reach worldwide. And they also consider the feedback of customers very importantly. So how do they engage with the Pokemon community people? So they have events, in-game events and online competitions, and they also conduct world championships. And it does not happen in India, but it happens in North America, Japan. There's world championships that happen, and people go there, they play games, and they win the titles. So they give online gifts. So that in Pokemon Go, there is something called as Community Day, where certain Pokemon would be featured, and people together they'll go and catch it. So there are many things like this. So the key to win is strategy in these games. So we need to know what type, ability, attacks and natures, and we need to know how to combine them to be on the leaderboards in these online battles and stuff. So as we saw in the gaming industry, this also has many beneficiaries. All these people do this as a full-time job. So there are bloggers like Cerebi.net. They do articles. They follow up each and every post of this company, and they make it available to the public. And there are app developers who create third-party apps, and software developers who create strategy apps, and which we can use in PC. And there are social media profiles in Instagram which make posts like how to do guide and all those stuff. and there are YouTubers who also share their experiences and gameplay, and all these people actually they do it as a full time, so they earn through this. So this Pokemon thing is indirectly also helping all these gamers for a living. Okay, so like there are two sides of the coin. There's also a dark side to this. There are many online scammers that they use to cheat people, because they'll list a product for a cheap price and they'll get the money from you and they'll block you. So that's one kind of scamming. And they also sometimes they put the price very high, they'll get the amount and they won't give you the product, or they'll give you some fake products. And there are many hackers and spoofers also in this game, which makes normal players very challenging to compete with. And for example, in the left side corner, one card they have listed it as 12,000 rupees. So they put these as overprices, but the sad thing is people do buy that. And there are some hacking tools also which are used to generate in the games. So this is some dark side of the game. And people has also started business like hacking and genning services for these games. People used to give money and buy Pokemon for their games. So this is one sad part, but this always happens in most of the gaming industries. There is a plus and there is also a downside. But apart from all this, in this journey, after this Pokemon company, they've been focusing on different kinds of audience and different platforms, and they want to take on so many things that is which is relevant to the market. So they've taken the top spot in highest grossing video game, and it's over $90 billion that they have made. So that is a surprising fact. And we're done with part 3. So let's move on to some advantages of playing video games. So in this article I saw that playing video games can be one of a productive hobby. So, and in another article there was like 8 cognitive benefits of playing video games for kids. So it playing some relevant video games like I'm not going to vote for Pokemon. It's a good game, but there, we have to choose what games we play. But some of the games can really improve coordination. They can improve your problem solving skills. They can enhance your memory power. It can improve your attention span and concentration. It can be a great source of learning. It can also improve your brain speed. It can enhance multitasking skills, and it can improve social skills also. So those are the 8 key areas which can be improved through video games. And there are also some other articles which give scientific facts and surprising benefits of playing video games. And there are also some disadvantages. So WHO has listed some 5 disadvantages that are behavioral changes and mental changes. So it can lead to lack of other hobbies, and it can also lead to some poor academic performances. It can lead to a lethargic nature, which it can also lead to weight gain. If you're too much sedentary and in one place, you will get weight gain. So gaming addiction, the addiction is where the problem begins. So it can slow your brain growth. It can also affect your eyesight and also might result in insomnia. Yeah, most of us who played gaming, we have been a victim of it. We have been addicted to that in some point of time. But as we grow, we have to realize that we have to balance playing and the real life. So my perspective on the disadvantages is it's a waste of time, but I would say it's a delightful waste of time because we enjoy while playing. So it's also waste of money if we go for those purchases. And these games like Pokemon, they aren't free. We have to buy the game, we have to buy the console, and then only we can play. Yes, there are some free resources which we can play, but still fans would prefer to buy the console and game and play on that. So it's definitely a waste of money. If you get stressed over it, yes, it's waste of money. And what I've also observed is that less spending with family, friends, and people you love. So if you play more of gaming, you might tend to miss on these. And sometimes it can also waste your youth and teenage life. So when you look back, only thing which you will remember is that you've played games for so long. So that is one that is one downside. So the last one is, I've seen this quote when I was in college UG itself. Like in Japan, till fourth standard, there are no exams like that. So they focus only on value building and activities for those children. So what I always aspired was like to propose Indian government schools to follow some similar kind of thing where children are more towards playing activities, and we could even make them watch cartoons every day, 1 or 2 episodes, and make them discuss on that. So without their notice itself, they'll be developing some core skills, is what I believe. I still vote for physical games, like games playing in the ground, than virtual games. But if cartoon media and gaming is the future, we have to be in a position to know to use it in a good and balanced way. So that is all for the presentation today. So thank you so much for listening patiently. Bye.